Organ trafficking is a subset of a largest global problem in human trafficking. And again, all of you have heard about sex trafficking, and maybe less about organ trafficking, but both of these issues can be considered within the framework of human rights. In Europe, for example, the average waiting time for transplantation averages about 3 years and is expected to lengthen to 10 years by 2010. With 40,000 patients waiting in line for a kidney in Western Europe alone, about 15 to 30% of these patients will die annually because of organ shortages. Now, many patients engage in organ trafficking as a solution. Various criminals and other individuals have recognized organ shortages as an easy opportunity to pressure people from countries living in poverty into selling their organs. The potential for large profits underpins their interest. Sellers of kidneys are paid approximately $2,500 to $3,000, while recipients pay anymore from $100,000 to $150,000. In the United States, there are about 95,000 people waiting for kidney transplants, while in Europe there are about 65,000, says Michael Boss of the Netherlands Health Council. Annual transplant rates run about 25,000 in the United States and 16,000 in Europe, according to the same person. Something like 10,000 kidneys are transplanted every year from living donors who are paid sometimes small amounts. This is in Europe, and about 30,000 kidneys are transplanted in the United States annually. China banned the sale of human organs in July of 2006. Following that banning in May of 2007, China began restricting organ transplants for foreigners that traveled abroad to purchase them and gave priority to the sick Chinese instead. Now, foreigners visiting China on a tourist visa are not allowed these days transplants, mainly to prevent traffic tourism, in which people, you know what that is, go abroad in search for organs. Also, hospitals are not allowed to advertise abroad that they have organs available for transplantation. There are only a certain amount of hospitals in China that are authorized these days to perform transplants, and hospitals that plan to perform transplants for foreigners require the authorization of the government. Do you know why they took these measures? Of course, because of the 2008 Olympic Games. And due to this, fear of the media sparked the Chinese government to admit these crimes. Now, let me go further. 1 minute, please. Shall I? It's telling me to stop, but maybe in our questions, I can go ahead and tell out about the situation in Eastern Europe and a little bit about India. So thank you so much.
The problem is not the use and trade in human organs, but the abuses by some unscrupulous actors, and that what we should be pushing for is fair, just, and well-regulated markets in organs. And I wonder what you or the other experts that you've consulted with would say about that.
So, can you hear me? Yeah, this question relates to the problem of regulating or not regulating markets in organ transplantation. Our captain is among those people who are against regulating markets in organs. Why do you think it's so? Because that transforms us in commodities. If people begin selling their organs and the market is regulated, they would do so. Why? Because they are poor. They need the money. So Art Kaplan keeps on telling everyone that the main argument against it is that only poor would be inclined to sell their organs, not the rich. So then how can we solve this problem? A regulated market, as he said, is not the solution. Now, according to the economists, a regulated market would actually balance the supply-demand issue. The Council of Europe is most concerned with what happens in Eastern Europe after the collapse of communism in 1989 regarding organ trafficking. We are working on a joint research project, and some of the experts on our advisory board, with some people from European countries. Following these research projects, probably there will be a chance to push for a protocol against organ trafficking